Several nations pleaded for a two-state solution to end the war between Israel and Gaza at the United Nations conference in New York.
Now, the United States has rejected the gathering as a publicity stunt, while Israel has boycotted the conference. France, the co-chair with Saudi Arabia of the three-day meeting, told the conference that there is no alternative to a two-state solution between Israelis and Palestinians.
We wanted to hold the conference as soon as possible because the clock is not on our side. The situation in Gaza is horrendous, and the civilian population in Israel and the Palestinian are paying the horrible price for the terrorist attacks on the 7th of October and the war that is being waged by Israel in Gaza.
Now, days before the conference, French President Emmanuel Macron announced that he would formally recognize Palestinian statehood in September, provoking strong opposition from Israel and the United States. Luxembourg hinted on Monday that it would follow France and recognize a Palestinian state in September, with the possibility that other countries could announce similar plans.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said at the meeting the two-state solution is farther than ever before. At least 142 of the 193 UN member states now recognize the Palestinian state proclaimed by the Palestinian leadership in exile in 1988.
The only realistic, just and sustainable solution is two states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security, within secure and recognized borders on the basis of the pre-1967 lines, with Jerusalem as the capital of both, in line with international law, UN resolutions, and other relevant agreements.
Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa called for an international force to help underwrite Palestinian statehood. He called for the world to recognize Palestinian statehood while later demanding that Hamas surrender control of Gaza Strip and its arms as part of a deal to end fighting in the territory.
Israel must withdraw completely from the Gaza Strip, and Hamas must relinquish its control over the Strip and hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority.
The U.S. State Department labeled the three-day event unproductive and ill-timed, as well as a publicity stunt, as I mentioned earlier, and that would make finding peace harder. Israel and the United States were not taking part in the meeting amid growing international pressure on Israel to end nearly 2 years of war in Gaza.
Now, for more on this, correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Let's listen to this.
At the start of a high-level UN conference on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict boycotted by both the United States and Israel, France and Saudi Arabia launched a coordinated push to revive the two-state solution and recognize Palestinian statehood. The three-day summit, co-chaired by the two countries and joined by 125 nations, including 50 ministers, aims to build international momentum for a political resolution to the Gaza war and broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict. France is now the largest Western power and the only G7 nation to take this step. Saudi Arabia announced a $300 million transfer through the World Bank to support humanitarian needs in Gaza as well as the West Bank. And while the United States and Israel brushed off the event, earlier President Donald Trump, after meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland, publicly contradicted Israel's claim that no famine exists in Gaza. Trump said, quote, "Those children look very hungry. That's real starvation stuff." He criticized Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the crisis and said Israel bears, quote unquote, a lot of responsibility. Starmer, for his part, welcomed President Trump's pivot. The UN meeting, though symbolic for many, may serve ultimately as a flashpoint for a diplomatic shift moving forward. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.